Australian Baseball League. His tally has stalled since Thursday evening at 199.
Colmenter. That's in the dirt. Quote Chun Wei, he's no idea. Finally picks it up. Both runners advance. And all of a sudden, Canberra once again have runners in scoring position. None out. It is a 3-0 count in favour of Boss Moanaroa. There's a little bit of a shift, Chris Coleman, as Boss heaves the lumber at that one. 3-1.
He's really had to deal with that an increasing amount in recent years in the ABL, and interesting that Geelong Korea chose, I think, almost every at-bat bar one last week to not implement the shift against him, and Auckland really haven't gone for it either.
And there's a walk. Ball 4. For some people who may be watching for the first time, the shift is when the middle of your infield, so your second baseman and your shortstop will move around, whether it's a right-handed or a left-handed hitter, to favour the pull from the hitter. So the second baseman for Moanaroa moved closer to first base, and the shortstop moved pretty much behind the bag. They call that the shift. So after the walk to Boss, loads the bases, Kyle Perkins. Perkins batting .215. He takes ball 1. Canberra could get an early lead. Base is loaded. None out here, bottom of the second. Called strike on the 12-6 curve.
Oh, jeez.
That is a beautiful bit. Do you understand the mechanics of literally with Colmenter's arm motion of releasing the ball out of the back of your hand to get that 12-6?
He was working with me in the ABL TV broadcast game on Thursday night, and I was asking about it, and he said it's just something that he's never had a lot of luck with just because of his action, and hence my reaction on the previous pitch as Perkins swings through. Kyle Perkins, that is, fails to connect. Count goes to 1 and 2. But yeah, that's so difficult with this high arm. It's almost reminiscent of a cricket bowling action in many ways.
It's almost, for lack of a better term, Chris Coleman, it's inside out. He's literally releasing, his release point is right up next to his ear. Perkins fouls it back. Count remains at 1 and 2. Colmenter doesn't like that ball. Asks for a new one from home plate umpire Matt Pearson. Count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. None out. Bases loaded. Candless at third. Robbie Perkins at second. Moanaroa at first. Colmenter delivers. Along the ground, that's a base hit to right field. Candless scores. Here comes Robbie Perkins. It is a none out, 2 RBI single to Kyle Perkins.
Kyle Perkins gets his RBI tally to 20 with his 19th hit for the season. Hit that with force. It went into the ground. The ground is very, very hard here in Canberra. We've had 3 or 4 days in a row, temperature getting well into the 30s, and while there was a little bit of cloud cover around at times today, this ground has baked under the sun. They've had the sprinklers on it a lot to try and soften it up. I don't know if you had a chance to go for a walk out there earlier this afternoon. I did. It is rock hard in places, and you saw that. Perkins hit that one into the ground. Ordinarily, they would hit the ground and stay a lot lower. That's taken the skip, got over. I think it was Bishop who was having a crack at it. Got over Bishop into the outfield. The single to right, and yeah, 2 RBIs. Cavalry lead 2-0, none out, bottom of the second. That brings in Koki Oyagi, and he's going to shape to bunt here with runners at first and second.
Drops down a picture-perfect bunt. Colementer picks up, fires the first to get Ayagi out. It's the only play he had, but advances Moana Roll to third. Kyle Perkins to second. That is a picture-perfect sacrifice bunt there from Kuki Ayagi. Brings us back to the top of the order. But as you were saying, I did get a chance to go out there earlier, Chris, and have a bit of a walk around, and absolutely nothing you can say against Bo Bishop there. That hit the ground, and it was like the old whacker pitch of old. I think he just shot over his... He was at full stretch and still not even close.
We commence the second time through the Cavalry lineup. Michael Francoso, single to centre field previously, and has a hack at Colementer. Start off this at-bat, sends it foul third base side. Big boss Monaroa waiting at third base. Cavalry with 2 runners in scoring position. Vitally important game in the Australian Baseball League for them. Another foul ball off the bat of Michael Francoso.
0-2. But we've seen this from Francoso in the past. He can go down a couple of strikes early, but he hangs tough, Chris Coleman.
He does.
One out. Boss Moanaroa at third base. Kyle Perkins, he's at second, and that's high for ball 1. I'm wondering if something's wrong for Josh Colementer. His body language is not looking where it was earlier. He fires. Francoso, that's going to drop for a base hit. Moanaroa scores. Kyle Perkins moves to third, and Canberra extend their lead.
I'd love to see where Francoso got that on the bat. I have a feeling that he was either he was choked up on it, or it's come in and he's taken it on the inside and got it fairly high up. It was almost the way it went to shallow right. It was almost as though he used a shovel on it as opposed to a bat. It didn't really fly. It looked like it was a real effort swing on there, was.
I think also as well, Chris, because it was inside, he's kind of done the stop.
Yeah.
He's kind of sacrificed it and just pulled the bat closer to his body to just protect himself.
But let's face it, when you come into a game batting 404, you found a way to hit a serious number of balls to places where there is no one in the field. And Francoso, he's done it on the first 2 occasions, as there's a bit of a conversation on the mound between pitcher, catcher, coach. And Colementer is still out there. He won't be giving up just yet. But we do have some numbers from him too that we might get you to go through shortly. Was just to repeat, what did he wind up with? 38 wins and 35.
38 and 35. 3.64 ERA over his career. Unbelievable figures. He's not happy about something. He's shaking his head. But 3-0 to the Bushrangers, or the Cavalry, whichever you prefer tonight. Kyle Perkins is the man at third. Francoso at first. Ball 1 to Cam Warner. Cam Warner had a fantastic first at bat, right up until he looked at the breaking pitch on strike 3.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a problem.
But he saw a lot of pitches, which is good. That's what you want. Even if you can't win the battle, make it go on for a while. Learn what you can for the next battle.
Especially in the first inning.
Fouls that off Kuo Chun Wei's helmet.
Especially in the first inning, if you can make a pitcher throw more pitches than he wants to in the first inning, may not pay dividends in the first. For a starter, it might not be until the 5th where he suddenly finds himself, his arm's getting a little bit tired, where he was hoping to go 7 innings. And then the side's got to get into the bullpen and start making changes earlier. So it's the game within a game within a game.
Checks Francoso over at first. Francoso been so important to this Cavalry lineup since he joined in week 3. 1-1, count to Warner. He rips it along the ground to left field. That'll score Kyle Perkins. So all of a sudden, Canberra have scored 4 quick runs. And there's still runners, Chris Coleman at first and second with 1 out. And the 1 out was the sacrifice by Kuki Ayagi. So
it's a tough night, is what you're saying. It's a tough night.
I tell you right now, I would not want to be a pitcher out here. It's still quite warm outside here at MIT Ballpark. I wouldn't want to be a pitcher in these conditions. Ball 1 is high to Craig Massey. He hit one straight to the shortstop, Chris Richards, in his first at bat. Francoso at first, Warner at second. And they've got some serious leg speed. Misses again. Ball 2. With 1 out, this is the 8th batter of this innings. For Canberra. Massey does as Chris Coleman said. He's look around, refocuses. He rips one down the right field line. That is going to drop. Around comes Francoso. Warner getting the signal to come around and score as well. There's another 2. Oh, no.
Oh, and he's out. Well, that was tough.
What an amazing... That was Daniel Tanalou, and I apologise, Nick Tanalou. He went out as the relay, and he fired that home. Cam Warner on the 9-4-2. Craig Massey with the double.
Good outfield. Good textbook baseball from the Tuatara in the field.
As Wilson lines one up the middle, in towards left centre. He's digging for second.
The ball goes astray as Wilson slides in, and Craig Massey on that sliding double from Zach Wilson comes home. So the Cavalry, they put a 6 spot up in the first inning on Thursday night on their way to a 21-4 win over Auckland. They put up 6 runs in total last night. They've gone for a 6 spot again this evening, and with only 2 out, Zach Wilson standing around at second, and David Candelas, who has been getting back into form in the last couple of weeks, starting to find more and more of the ball in the batter's box. The trouble may not be over for the Auckland Tuatara just yet.
Candelas, he led off this second inning with a beautiful double down the right field line. And he's just pieced one, and that's going to drop as well into centre field. Wilson gets the call. He comes home. And he's safe.
Well, it's raining runs and it's raining RBIs and it's raining doubles here in Canberra. The only thing it's not doing is raining water from the sky. That's now 7 runs in an inning. Only a single for Candelas on that occasion, but you look at this lineup so far, you can see Candelas with a double earlier, Massey with a double, Wilson with a double. So much going on out there.
No, that's Wilson at first. That's only a single, my friend.
I've got ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, Massey scored from second on the play.
Too many people coming in.
That's okay. Robbie Perkins.
No, that's Candelas over it.
Oh, no, sorry, Candelas, yes. Yeah. My apologies.
Yeah, it was Wilson who scored from second. I had it right. Wilson scored from second, but it was only a single for Candelas to get himself to first.
That's it. Sorry, apologies, my friend.
When you start to get into a second time through, your score sheet can get a wee bit congested. 0-1 the count for Robbie Perkins. He's had 1 plate appearance tonight. Got a free pass, got a walk earlier in this inning. And that walk was turned into a run a wee bit later on. 0-1 the count on Perkins, the team captain. Colmeter getting a little bit of movement away, very late movement. Count goes to 1-1. I hope you're not looking for an eraser in there, Was, because you're not going to find one. Ah, new pen. Middle pocket, mate. 1 and 1. It's the scorer's disaster. He's run out of ink in his pen and he's looking for a new one. 1 and 2 is the count now for Robbie Perkins. And Perkins strikes out looking, but plenty of damage done. The Cavalry putting on 7 runs in that inning, and after 2, they lead by 7-0 here at MIT Ballpark over the Auckland Tuatara.
You look after them. And with amazing eyesight driver assist technology, we'll look after you. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
Heading into the 3rd inning for the Canberra Cavalry. It'll be a challenge here for Shota Imanaga, the starter for the Cavalry, having earlier this evening sat down the last 5 dismissals he's made by striking them out. He's now had a fairly lengthy wait while the offense fired and fired and fired and fired. And sometimes you see in baseball, a pitcher comes on, starts off really well, and then the offense starts to fire, and suddenly the pitcher, who's had a couple of quick innings, has to readjust and come back on, having had a very long layoff, and sometimes it is a struggle. We'll see what Shota Imanaga can produce as we go into the 3rd. For Auckland, they're still on their first run through the batting lineup. It's Kuo Chun Wei to be followed by Luke Hansen, and then we'll go to Egg Jenkins as we return to the top of the order. And yeah, I don't think the layoff has affected Shota Imanaga one little bit, Warwick Petherbridge.
Doesn't look like it at all. Getting that breaking ball to work early in counts. And there is that fastball that he follows it up with all the way along the outside. Two. Imanaga fires high, ball 1 to Kuo Chun Wei. He hits that high. David Candless calls off Robbie Perkins, as every great centre fielder does whenever the ball goes their way. Doesn't matter where it is, it's mine.
Well, the other thing about Candy is right now, how high would his confidence be? And a couple of nights ago, his average was sitting down around the 100 mark. He's had multiple hits this weekend. I think it was a 4-hit game on Thursday night. He's had a double and a single here, so he's batting 2 from 2 tonight. His average started tonight at 172. It'll be pushing up closer towards 200 now. His confidence would be absolutely up, and confidence, as we see the first pitch taken for Luke Hansen, as a big swing. But confidence in batting, so how often does it lead to then confidence in other areas of the game, such as fielding and throwing, Was?
Well, exactly right, Chris Coleman.
This goes into foul territory, so Luke Hansen, who hasn't had a lot of game time so far this weekend, very quickly to an 0-2 count against Shota Imanaga.
And especially, as you were saying, Chris, about someone like a David Candless, who sees himself as a leader on this team. Last year was one of the top batsmen in the league. Imanaga at the knees and Hansen watching. And he becomes the next victim. But Candless, who would definitely view himself, and rightly so, as a leader of this clubhouse. And as you said, confidence is a wonderful thing when you start making connections with the bat. It improves your game everywhere. Eric Jenkins, he's the leadoff man. He has gone straight up underneath that. He throws the bat away. Michael Francoso takes the catch and retires the Tuatara again in order, Chris Coleman.
Geez, super quick inning. Super quick inning. Can you give us a quick pitch count on that, Was? I know you try your best
8.
to keep a tally on it.
I've got 8, Chris Coleman.
Wowzers, 8 pitches for a whole inning. That's super quick. Still 7-0 here. It is Canberra over Auckland at MIT Ballpark.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know, because we're number 1 too. Number 1 in the ACT, for full-time employment, for starting salary, for student support, and learning resources. Yep, all the things that matter. So even though we're number 1, you're still number 1 to us. Might sound corny, but hey, it's 100% true.
Saturday night baseball in Canberra. Chris Coleman and Warwick Petherbridge bringing you all the action in this international clash in the Australian Baseball League in Week 7 between the Auckland Tuatara, the visiting side, and the home side, the Canberra Cavalry, tonight paying tribute to the Canberra Bushrangers. I'm going to have to find out later, Matt Percy, the stadium announcer who's just walking off the ground there, whether that is a genuine 1990s era Canberra Bushrangers t-shirt that he's wearing, or whether it's been specifically made up for him, because if it's a genuine shirt, he's done very well to be the same size as he was 25 years ago.
I'm going to go with no, Chris Coleman. I went up to try and find myself a hat earlier, but as we know, I've got a giant head and there's nothing. They don't make hats in buckets anymore. But I saw the shirt there at the merch stand. They were flying out the door. Boss Moanaroa, he's the next man in for the Canberra Cavalry. He starts the 3rd inning off. He didn't join the hit parade in the last inning. He got a walk, but still crossed home plate. Boss, as you've said, on 199 ABL hits.
And that might just make it for number 200, and it does. Congratulations, Boss Moanaroa, on reaching the 200 hit club in the Australian Baseball League with that laser to centre field to Eric Jenkins. And Boss makes it on with a single, his 2nd time on base tonight.
And that is a great gesture by Josh Coleman. The ball gets thrown into his hand. He immediately grabs it, throws it to Canberra's manager Keith Ward as a souvenir to keep for Boss for later.
In a short season league like the Australian Baseball League, it is a huge effort to get to 200 hits. It'll take anyone a long time to do it. Boss Moanaroa managing to do so. And it might be an opportune moment as we see Kyle Perkins trying to advance Boss around the bases now. 0-1 the count on Perkins. It might be an opportune moment to just have a bit of a look at some of Boss's numbers over his time in the Australian Baseball League. Cole Minter probably not having the night that he wanted to have so far, but fighting back against Kyle Perkins. It's the 0-2 happening. And on 3 pitches, Kyle Perkins strikes out looking. I'll ask you now, there's quite an apt comparison, I think, there. We often talk about how Robbie Perkins and Kyle Perkins in the same team. One does something, the other then goes on to match it. We saw Robbie Perkins strike out before and looking and wasn't really thrilled. You could see his response wasn't exactly ideal to it, and now Kyle expressing disappointment as well. Who did the disappointment better?
One out.
You're not going there, are you?
No, I'm not. Kuki Ayagi.
We'll just move along.
Robbie. He 0-1. Ayagi dropped down the beautiful sacrifice bunt in the last inning. Lays off the outside breaking ball.
So, Boss Moanaroa, 200 hits in the Australian Baseball League. Are you ready for some numbers?
Yeah, go.
Across the seasons, 2010-11, so back in Season 1, 22 hits from 23 games. Season 2, 36 hits from 39 games. Season 3, 17 hits from 34 games. So a bit of a slump there. Ayagi takes a pitch. 1-2 the count on him. Season 4, a short season for Boss. Only managed 8 games, but ran up 5 hits in those 8 games. Moved to Canberra for season 6. Didn't play in season 5 of the ABL. Moved to Canberra for season 6. Played in 47 games, 25 hits. In season 7, 17 from 31, 13 from 18 last season, and 7 from 14 this season, and that'll be a double play to complete the inning as Kokiayagi sends it across. The shortstop, second base combination of Tanaloo and Richards for the Tuatara working nicely, and Bishop completing the double play. Nice work from the Tuatara, and what they needed after the Cavalry ran up 7 in the bottom of the second, they've shut them down in the bottom of the third, and after 3 innings, it is 7-0 to the home side. Canberra over Auckland here on Saturday night ABL action.
For cancer patients and their families in the ACT in Queanbeyan, the group relies on fundraising in order to provide services to patients and their families.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know, because we're number 1 too. Number 1 in the ACT, for full-time employment, for starting salary, for student support, and learning resources. Yep, all the things that matter. So even though we're number 1, you're still number 1 to us. Might sound corny, but hey, it's 100% true.
And they'll head around the crowd across the course of this half inning.
Correction, I got overexcited in there. I've credited the double play after double play to Tanaloo. It was the pitcher, Colementer, who got involved in that. So a 1-6-3 double play as we move into the 4th inning. 7-0 the score here. And Shota Imanaga continues on the mound for the Canberra Cavalry, a.k.a. the Canberra Bushrangers tonight.
I was going to say, Chris, great pitching by Colementer after the long inning where he gave up 7, comes out and on 7 pitches, gets out, be happy for the extra rest.
Well, we were getting excited about Imanaga going 8 pitches to take care of the Tuatara in the 3rd. So all up to get through the entire 3rd inning, we got 15 pitches for 6 outs. Take us through what's happening out there for the start of the 4th with Zach Clark, Nick Tanaloo and Max Brown due up.
Oh, Nick Tanaloo. Actually, Zach Clark first. Clark last night. He had a double, scored on a couple of wild pitches in the 8th. Then he was hit by a pitch in the 9th. Across the plate both times. Imanaga starting with that breaking pitch again. Just misses with that one. 1-0. Straight by him with the fastball. 1-1. As you can see, Kyle Perkins behind the dish. Him and Imanaga have made a great combination this year. Clark lines that great pickup by Boss Maonaroa. Imanaga over as pitches cover for the 3-1 out. I've got to say, absolutely brilliant by Imanaga. For some people who don't understand, when your first baseman, like Boss was, having to take the ball backhanded, takes him further away from the base, so the pitcher will go over to cover the base, so the out can be completed, as you saw there.
And when you're the pitcher too, the other thing is you're running down there off the mound. You know that the batter, come runner, is heading up behind you, and there is plenty of prospect of a collision there at first if you don't get in the right place or the runner decides to take the inside line. And again, a very, very close contest between the two. But now it's Nick Tanaloo into bat with 1 out for the Tuatara in the top of the 3rd. And Imanaga just going fastball. 1-1 the count on Nick Tanaloo. Imanaga is having a great time here in Australia. He really has enjoyed himself. Ball in the dirt. Gets away. Did he go?
No, he
didn't. But the question was asked. I think the question was asked more by the pitcher than the catcher there, which is interesting. 2-1 the count. He's having a great time here in Australia, and he really is picking up a bit of the local vernacular. Let's go with that as we wait for Tanaloo to swing, and he does. Fouls it away 2-2. As you know, I'm a big collector of memorabilia in Australian baseball, and last week I finally took a chance having decided to wait a few weeks for the guys to get settled to get a ball signed by the 4 Japanese players from the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars playing for the Cavalry this season.
2-2. Himanaga. That's low. That's ball 3. Count is full. Keep going. Yes, Chris?
So Imanaga, amongst the other boys, so Kuniyoshi and Mikami and Ayagi all signed the ball, and then when Shota Imanaga signed it, I said, "Arigato gozaimasu, thank you very much," and he looked at me and said, "No worries." With the full Australian drawl, the whole lot, it was a thing of beauty.
Payoff pitch. Tanalu swings, strike 3.
Unfortunately, the stats engine that I can normally dig up things on demand for is down for maintenance at the moment. What I was hoping to be able to look up tonight was how many times Shota Imanaga converts a full count into a strikeout.
I was going to say, how many strikeouts did he have before tonight? Was it 44?
44.
So 51. He's cracked the half century, raises the bat.
Does quite nicely.
2 out here. Max Brown, the right fielder, he takes a called strike 1. One and one. Oh, I didn't say thank you for that as well, because you got me a signed ball from the DNA Bay Stars as well. It now sits pride and place on my desk.
Least I can do, my friend. 1 and 1.
Brown fouls out off deep down the first base line. There's a lot of children wearing baseball uniforms go chasing after that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 out here for the Tuatara. And after last night, Chris Coleman, they will be believing they're not out of this game yet. As Brown fouls another one back.
Well, we should mention that for last night, for people unaware of what happened there. Auckland ran up a single early in the piece. They got 1 on in the 3rd. Canberra came out in the 4th, put on 5, added on a 6th in the bottom of the 5th. And going into the 8th, it was still a 6-run ball game before Auckland put on 6 in the 8th and then another 3 in the 9th and won this game that they trailed 6-1. They won it 10-6.
Exactly. Imanaga, 1 and 2. Brown fouls another one off.
I often get asked, what's one of the things you love about baseball? And the fact that you can never really say a game is over. And you can go along to a baseball game and almost every time you'll see something you've not seen previously. And I can't think of a 9-run turnaround that I've seen in person.
Just misses on the outside.
Oh.
Imanaga is not a pitcher who is brash or cocky, but when he's walking down off the mound like that, he politely thinks he's got it.
Yeah, he thinks he's got it. 2 and 2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. But yeah, I can't recall ever seeing a 9-run turnaround in those circumstances in a game of baseball in person before.
Brown fouls another one off.
Well, Auckland, to their credit here, I think Auckland have done a very good job compared to some of the other teams in the league against Shota Imanaga. It hasn't yielded on the scoreboard for them yet, but what they have done is been able to get a number of hits, or a number of at least extended at-bats here, 3rd inning notwithstanding.
That's going to drop foul on the first base side. Wonderful catch on the 1 hop with his mitt by the young man just over the fence.
They've been able to just get Imanaga to throw a few extra pitches here and there during the course of his start tonight. Count remains 2 and 2 with 2 outs. And it's still that 2 and 2 and 2 outs, as the best baseball commentator of all time, Vin Scully, would always say, deuce is wild. You can't steal someone else's line without giving them credit, so we'll...
Oh, I was still stuck on the best baseball commentator of all time.
Well,
you
can't argue. You can't argue with it.
I can argue all I like. It doesn't mean I'm right, Chris Coleman. 2 and 2.
I've never thought of a career in politics.
Imanaga. Brown fouls another one back.
Just gets enough on it to keep his at-bat alive. This would be the longest inning I think that Imanaga has pitched. And I reckon that'd be his 40th pitch for the night.
Well, it's also coming up to, this will be pitch number 9 to Brown. And pitch 10 will be coming up in a moment.
I may have jumped the gun. My stats engine, I did say I was having some trouble with the stats earlier, and it does seem to have frozen in terms of counting pitches after 3 innings. So my apologies. We are working in the stats twilight zone here as twilight arrives in Canberra. The sun now below the horizon. The sky's still light. The full light, the floodlights here just starting to take effect as another foul tip. So that's 10 into double figures. Brown just keeps on working and working and working.
7 foul. He's fouled off 7 pitches in this at bat, which you've got to give to the accuracy of Shota Imanaga. A called strike, 2 balls, and 7 fouls. Pitch 11. Brown digging deep here for the Tuatara. Didn't chase, and we now have a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out.
If you joined us late, by the way, we did get some numbers earlier on what kind of velocity the pitchers were throwing. Imanaga with the fastball, remarkably consistent, most of the time at 90, sometimes 91, sometimes 89.
Brown fouls another one off, and I'm running out of scorebook. Help me out, buddy.
I'll just get a spare piece of paper for you. You're into the next inning. That's always a worry. And when Imanaga goes to the off-speed pitches, they range from about 72 to 84 mile an hour, so they do drop away in there. But he is remarkably consistent, 90, 90, 91, 90, 90, 89, and another foul ball. This is now getting on to close to the longest at-bat in memory here at Canberra.
– 14th pitch of the at-bat. Wow. 10 fouls.
And on the inside, and oh gee, Brown thought he had the walk. Imanaga, I don't know if he was as confident about that one as the earlier one that was called a ball. But in the end, the pitcher wins the battle. Imanaga gets his 8th strikeout for the night. Max Brown shakes his head. There's not much else you can do. But as is almost always the case in baseball, in a pitcher versus batter battle, the pitcher wins more often than the batter, but you can guarantee Max Brown will want at least one more crack at Shota Imanaga. He may not get it, but he'll certainly want it. Halfway through the 3rd, it's Canberra 7 leading Auckland 0 in the nation's capital.
Bushrangers sons out here to play the workshop. Their names are Jason the white and Tyler in the blue. Now, as they are sons of Bushrangers, we figure...
Bit of fun and games happening between innings here in Canberra, as is always the case, not just in Canberra, but also at other Australian Baseball League grounds where there's entertainment put on. I don't know if you've ever tried to catch water balloons, They're hard enough to catch when they're only thrown at gentle velocity. When you have them being put well into the sky, courtesy of an elastic slingshot, you may as well just decide that you are going to get wet.
It's almost like a ruck contest between the 2 competitors.
There's 2 kids. We'll stay with this if there's one more. Hopefully there's one more. Hopefully we can get a little bit further across.
Here they come.
Here they come. Oh, and he's worn it straight in the mush.
The young man in the white there.
Oh, he doesn't look happy.
He's worn all of them.
The budding Australian rules ruckman in there, and there's a budding Australian rules rover. I think the guy in the blue was the ruckman. The guy in the white's the rover, because the guy in the blue was just going up and maybe getting enough on them to tap them into the face of his opposite number. Nicely done, young fellas. On a warm night here in the nation's capital, it was 29 degrees when the first pitch was thrown. The wind was blowing quite strongly. Conditions have actually changed quite a bit now. I'm looking across to the flagpole, not too far from the scoreboard there, and I can tell you the wind has dropped away. It's now averaging about 15 kilometres an hour, and I suspect that average has taken over the last hour because the flag is just hanging limp. There is not a breath of air in this park, and the temperature, this is about as good as it gets. 25 degrees, no wind. That's about what you want. Maybe a little bit more humidity as Coleminter comes in to pitch to Francoso at the top of the order and the start of the 4th for the Cavalry. But this is about as good as it gets, It
really is, Chris Coleman. Perfect baseball time. Francoso takes a ball high. What an addition this man has been. I said it earlier. Came in week 3. Batting well over 400 now. has been the spark that the top of this Canberra Cavalry lineup has needed. So he takes another one high, 2-1.
There was a stat in the ABL TV game on Thursday night that I'll have to go from memory. I think Canberra hit 1 home run in the whole month of November in this league.
As the ball goes inside.
1 home run in the first month of the season.
Yes.
There's been plenty more since.
Yes, there has. Francoso on 3-1. And this is what you want in a lead-off hitter. 3-1.
Well, the 3-1 pitch is that's the luxury pitch for a batter. 3 balls, 1 strike. You can swing at it if it's there, but if it's not, if you think it's close, but it's not what you want, you can leave it because you get the next one. And as we saw earlier with Max Brown with the longest at-bat in several months here in Canberra earlier, if you're good enough to keep getting bat on ball, you can just keep on getting bat on ball and keep your at-bat alive, as now Francoso has to do with a 3-2. Full count on him. Bear in mind he's 2 from 2 tonight.
And that is a high breaking ball that doesn't break. That is a walk to Michael Francoso.
An broken ball.
You got a feel for Max Brown. A 14 pitch at bat, going toe-to-toe with one of the best pitchers in this league. And was given a called strike 3 by umpire Matt Pearson, but on other occasions that's one that we've seen go the other way, but very close.
Well, he also got a called ball to go to ball 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Emenaga thought he had him.
So that's the great thing about baseball.
Huh?
The pitch might come through on the inside, the pitcher thinks he's got it, but the batter gets the call, and the pitch goes through maybe a little bit further across, and the batter thinks he's got it, and the call goes the pitcher's way. Now in, it is Cam Warner. Warner with 1 for 2.
Warner caught at home. Still don't understand why he wasn't sliding, but that's the nature of the game these days. He fouls that one back, 1-1.
Well, he was told to go. I don't think anybody told him to get down. And I think going from what's happened so far in this series, the other possibility may well be that for Cam Warner, he just didn't think that the throw was going to be dangerous. As it turned out, from Tanaloo at shortstop, or at second base rather, going out as the cutoff man, it wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. 1-1. Make that now 2-1. As Colementer, let's just see if I can dig up what he's thrown, proportion of pitches that he's thrown. Believe it or not, he's got still thrown 2/3 of his pitches have been strikes tonight, 44 of 66. That was prior to this inning starting, but again, as I said, my stats engine has frozen up and I just can't give you anything more up to date. And Warner gets his second hit for this evening with what will be an easy single to left field. Clark picks it up off the ground, and that also advances Michael Francoso to second base. So off the 2-1 pitch, Cam Warner gets on, and that may be the night for Josh Colementer, because we're seeing plenty of action up in the bullpen.
But the signal's just gone up to the bullpen again, Chris, so someone's warming up there. I believe I saw the left hand from the pitching coach. At the moment, it's Colementer. Runners again, and this is what happened in the first, and he got out of it. Didn't get out of it in the second, as that is a called strike 1 on Craig Massey. Massey with the double double to right field in his last at bat. Colementer so far in 3 of his 4 innings now at the start has had multiple runners on to start the inning. Low. Count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Michael Francoso is the runner at second. Cam Warner at first. Massey drags that foul. Along the first base side, count is 1 ball, 2 strikes. So let's see. As I've said before, Chris Coleman, there are 2 types of pitches in a game. There's one when you've got no one on base and you've got control. And there was also another pitch of same person when they've got runners on. 1 and 2, the count to Massey. He fouls off one.
I would be surprised if there was much difference between Colementer with runners on and Colementer with bases empty. I would be surprised if there was a big difference there.
Oh, I'm just saying, this is the 3rd time.
Oh yeah, no.
In the 3 and a bit, three and some innings that he's pitched, that he's allowed the first 2 runners to get on. He was in complete control in the last inning with 7 pitches. He pitches that one mass. He just chips it over the top to the left fielder. There's his second base hit of the night. And now all of a sudden, none out in the fourth, bottom of the fourth. And there is a Bushranger on every button.
Oh, well played, sir. Well played, sir. I was waiting to go with the Cavalryman on every cushion, but of course, Bushrangers night here tonight.
I was going to say Bushrangers on bar stools, but I didn't want to say. I'd like a Bushranger on every button, Chris.
I think button works better. I don't know. You know, actually, they've given the bases a fresh coat of paint for tonight too. I saw that happening at the ground staff shed earlier tonight. Zach Wilson has a double and a fly out to centre field already this evening, fouling the first pitch he faces off into the netting behind him, and is behind in the count 0-1.
Wilson, he went 1 for 5 last night, but the one he got all of it. Loaded bases, none out. Outside, ball 1.
Wilson has 7 home runs for the season, and last night, yeah, it was the only hit he got, 1 for 5. Thursday night, had 2 home runs, one to left, one for, well, the first one was actually to right. That was a 3-run homer, and then a 2-run homer in the 7th inning.
Wilson fouls another one back. Count is 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I think he is seeing it like the proverbial melon. He really just, if he doesn't get out, if he doesn't, well, he doesn't strike out often. Let's go with that. 12 strikeouts against 32 hits.
I was going to say, Chris Coleman, a lot of the ones that I've seen so far this season from him have been flyouts. He at least gets bat to ball. I tell you what, it's like he's hitting a tennis ball sometimes. He just gets that much power on it.
In fact, including his hit tonight, 33 hits. And of those 33 hits, here's the power factor. 33 hits, 9 doubles, 7 home runs. So if he can get an extra base hit with his next hit, that will mean that half of his hits have been for extra bases.
Still at 45, 46%.
Oh yeah, not to be sneezed at. Not to be sneezed at.
2-2. Here's the count to Wilson. Colementer. And he goes down.
Yeah, you're going to say a guy rarely strikes out and he strikes out.
No, that was actually very good pitching.
I'm not going to say it was bad pitching. I'm just going to say we've just talked about how Wilson doesn't strike out much and he strikes out.
Oh yes, but very good disguise there by Colementer on the 12-6 breaking ball.
Now you want to see something else that's interesting, and hopefully we can get back to our first base camera again while this at bat. Oh no, we won't see it now. Robbie Perkins has moved, but David Candler is in the batter's box, still with the bases loaded, 1 out.
Candy pops it up. Nick Tanalou underneath at the second baseman.
Oh, he's having a night, isn't he? Really involved in it, a lot of ways. Pop fly to 4. What I was going to say was, I was fascinated during that Wilson at bat, and while we were focusing on it, you could see Cavalry coaching staff and Robbie Perkins, Cavalry captain, standing there. There's a real in-depth conversation going on, analysis. There was hand movements about what the ball's doing and about what the pitching's doing, and arms being swung to talk about how to have a swing with the bat at various pitches. It was really fascinating to see just a little bit of that happening in the dugout there. Plenty of education going on. Robbie Perkins now at bat with the bases loaded, fouls the first pitch away. One takes off somewhere in the vicinity of Snake Gully behind us, as opposed to up the ground. For people who perhaps haven't seen baseball from the nation's capital before, we'll explain Snake Gully in due course, but it's not the kind of place you want to send your kids to play, and it's not the kind of place you want to go chasing baseballs in the height of summer. 0-1. And now 1-1. Yeah, there's a large stormwater drain and greenery area not too far from the ballpark. It'll be, what 50 metres from home plate?
If that.
Maybe 40. And it runs parallel with the first baseline. And this time of year, it's off to the right of your picture. And balls that go in there, they stay there until about June when people go in to pick them up. It's a hard hit grounder, bounces once fair, then into foul territory. And to count 1 and 2. Yeah, those balls often stay there till about June or July when the snakes are hibernating, and then people pick up baseballs and use them for practice balls, etc., etc.
Unbelievable, though, the amount of... If you're a club, you'd be sending someone in there in the metal boots and the long sleeve get up.
Yeah, I believe 4 of the 10 deadliest snakes in the world can be found in the area we call Snake Gully.
It's all right. Sometimes you got to send a hero in. I volunteer you, Chris Coleman.
I was going to say
1 and 2 to count to Perkins.
You're not volunteering yourself, and Perkins takes the pitch low on the inside. 2 and 2 is the count. So we've got 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 3 on. We could be just about to get set for our first taste of baseball chaos theory in a moment. If we get to the full count with 2 outs and the bases loaded, that's when just about anything can happen. Warwick, take us through this pitch.
Colementer, he's got his signal. He got himself into an early jam. He delivers to Perkins. Ball 4. Oh, that's ball 3, sorry, in the dirt. Francoso scores. It'll be interesting to see what that is scored as it went 5-hole on the catcher, Kuo Chun Wei. Right under the mitt, straight through the legs, all the way to the back net. Every catcher's worst nightmare, Chris Coleman.
Did it set off the alarm to say that the puck was in the back of the net?
No.
Not quite?
Not quite, my friend, but Canberra add another one. It is now 8-0. The action has quieted in the Tuatara bullpen. Someone was loosening up, not at the moment. Full count to Robbie Perkins. Colementer needs a good one here. That's high to right field, but will be travelling foul.
I would suggest that as it's now 2 outs, the Tuatara have said, well, we'll just let Colementer finish this inning. That may, of course, change if Perkins gets on, because if Perkins gets on and it's hit anywhere on the right side of the diamond, it'll make it a double-digit game.
3-2, 2 out. Here's the payoff pitch. Perkins swings at the high fastball. Strike 3. Canberra add another one. It's 8-0 here at the bottom of 4 at MIT Ballpark.
Now let's have a look at something special. This is from GIO Stadium in Canberra earlier today. You can see there, that's a group shot of some of the faces from years gone by from the Canberra Bushrangers from the 1993-1994 season. And you'll notice there's one man in the middle of the picture who's wearing a Canberra Cavalry uniform. That's actually Michael Wells. Now, he did play for the Canberra Bushrangers. The players who returned, all the other players who returned, were presented with their jerseys and caps in a little ceremony today at GIO Stadium, which is now, of course, the home of the Canberra Raiders and the Brumbies in Super Rugby. But Wellesley didn't know that was happening, and his jersey, funnily enough, was here at the ballpark in preparation for tonight's game. So you've got a cavalryman surrounded by bushrangers in there, but the cavalryman also a bushranger from the past. So we had that. I'm hoping that we can bring you a little bit of video from earlier, from that ceremony earlier today as well. But it was very special, and the looks on the faces of those players today as they made their way out to what used to be their field of dreams. That's about where home plate used to be, and it was tremendous to see that picture, that gathering today, and great to be a small part of it earlier this afternoon and seeing those guys being welcomed back to Canberra. Many of them have moved further away, and to the former Canberra Bushrangers players who weren't able to be here this evening for work commitments or because you live on the other side of the world and it's a long way to come to Canberra at this time of year. Your presence was noted, you were missed, and there may have been an elbow bent in your honour. We move on to the 5th inning here, and right now it is 8-0 to the home side, and an era drawing to the close as we show you more of the Canberra Bushrangers. Brian Grenning in the 14 jersey. There's Michael Wells. That's proof that he had his he has his Bushrangers jersey, the number 26, Michael Wells there. But we are moving in towards the end of an era here in Canberra. Imanaga,
are you okay?
Has 2 minutes, has two innings left to pitch. He sends us 6 every week, except for 1 week where it was 5. But he sends us 6 every week, and this is inning number 5. So he's got 6 outs left as a cavalryman, or 6 outs left as a bushranger. Let's see what he's got.
Beautiful breaking pitch to start off again.
Chris Richards bamboozled by that, I think is fair to say.
Just for the viewers at home, Imanaga throws another one. Richards quickly behind 0-2. It's part of the agreement with the DNA Bay Stars. Imanaga, as a per outing, it's a maximum of 6 innings. As Richards fans the bat at the wide one, he goes down with the strikeout.
Now batting the first baseman, number 35.
That is the 9th strikeout tonight for Shota Imanaga. Brings up Bo Bishop, the first baseman. He struck out in his first at bat. That's outside for ball 1. A lot of people here tonight for Bushranger night. Bishop along the ground, and it rolls foul. The heartbreak of it all, Chris Coleman.
It's not always something you can take for granted on that third baseline. In this ballpark, we saw 2 last season that were hit up that third baseline, and they rolled slowly up the third baseline, and it happened twice. It rolled along the line, along the line, along the line, all the way up and hit the base.
Which makes it a fair ball.
But they rolled so slowly, and of course, as the fielder, you've got to wait to see if the ball, especially once it's gone 20 feet, you've got to wait and see if the ball goes foul, because by the time it's gone 20 feet as a slow roller, runner is up there at first. So you really are sweating on that ball becoming a foul ball. Count remains 0-1.
Imanaga. It's outside.
How many strikeouts is that now?
9. 9 as Imanaga just outside again. Counts 2-1 to Bishop.
It's been the weekend for strikeouts for the Cavalry pitching staff. Gailey threw 6 from 6. Stephen Kent, Thursday night.
Unbelievable.
13 strikeouts.
Bishop gets underneath that one. Second baseman Craig Massey comfortably underneath it, takes an easy catch. He retires Bo Bishop for the second out here in the top of the 5th.
But Stephen Kent, 13 strikeouts. Cole Kinman came on. He threw another couple in late play as well. So I think it was 15 strikeouts in total for the Cavalry on Thursday night. So it's been a big K weekend, a special K weekend almost here at MIT Ballpark.
Imanaga tries with the breaking ball to Shu Ji-win. Shu Ji-win. Sorry, Itchy.
Let's just go with Itchy.
Itchy. Well, actually, as he fouls it off and it's 1-1, Chris, why has he got the name Itchy?
Well, he wanted to be nicknamed Ichiro.
Yes.
Well, you know, why wouldn't you? It's a tribute to
Ichiro Suzuki.
a great baseballer. And he was told, no, too many Ichiros, too many people wanting to be Ichiro, you're Itchy. And it stuck.
He's half an Ichiro as he swings at that one.
Well, 2/3 if we're talking in mathematical terms, but I get where you're coming from.
1 and 2. Imanaga joining us. Coming towards the end of his time here in Canberra. If he comes back out, it'll be the last inning he pitches in the 6th. As he strikes out Itchy for strikeout number 10 in 5 innings of work, Chris Coleman. Once again, no runners on, no runs for the Tuatara. It remains 8-0.
The all-new Subaru Forester. Finally, the recognition you deserve. Everything changes the moment you get in. Every moment is a chance to do.
Hurry up with that thing. Have you tried the brake? I've tried it all.
So who are you backing in this game?
With their three-point shooting.
Guys, relax. I got this.
Don't want to miss a second of the action this season? With Tabs Basketball Live Vision, you can stream games and access exclusive previews for free, anytime, anywhere.
Whoa, don't splash the box.
Yeah, don't splash the box.
Who are you backing this NBA season? Tab. Download the app today.
8-0 at MIT Ballpark, and a big thank you to Fielder's Choice, our streaming partners here at Cavalry Live. And Fielder's Choice, well, they are committed to providing a national service to everyone who loves diamond sports, whether it's T-ball, baseball or softball. They will give you great advice, the highest level of customer service and professional expert advice. And it doesn't matter what level you are, whether you're a 7-year-old playing T-ball or a guy in his late 40s looking to re-establish himself on the club ball circuit, or even getting into the action as a pro baller. Stop into your local Fielder's Choice shop, including the one right here in Hawker in the ACT, or go online and check them out today at www.fielders.net. Boss Monaroa comes in to start the bottom half of the 5th inning here in the nation's capital. And this man has really become a cult hero in the nation's capital over the past few years, bringing up his 200th hit of his ABL career earlier tonight to rapturous applause from the fans in the nation's capital. And while Warwick Petherbridge is about to pick up the play-by-play with a Boss having one strike against him, we have some guests joining us in just a moment here. Oh, Boss has gone big and long. Sorry, Woz, I'll let you take it over in a moment as we see this falling. Which side of the fence? Bounced inside the fence, off the warning track and gone over for a double. Boss would have been very excited. I think the fans here would have gone off their collective dials had it actually gone through for a home run, because it went an awful long way up and went for a ride shooting the breeze. But Boss Monaroa with the ground rule double gets himself on, and that is his second hit for this evening. He's got a single and a double here at MIT Ballpark. Warwick Petherbridge, if you want to take it away for some play-by-play for a moment or two, and then I will bring in a couple of very special guests here on Bushranger Night on Cavalry Live.
Kyle Perkins struck out looking in his last at bat. He definitely wouldn't want to be doing that again. He gets right underneath one. Bo Bishop, he's coming around. Takes it in the end. So the fly out. And once again, for the 4th time in their 5 at bats, Canberra has their leadoff runner aboard. Boss Monaroa. High and deep to right field. Ayagi, 0 for 1. Had the sacrifice bunt in the 2nd. But then in the 3rd, he grounded into the inning-ending double play. He fouls that one down the first base line, and that'll go into the Tuatara bullpen. 0-1.
Well, Woz, thank you very much, and Woz will keep us posted as play unfolds. But it is Bushranger Night here at MIT Ballpark, and in the booth with us now a couple of the Bushrangers players from Canberra in the 1990s. We've got John Gaynor and David Assenheim. We'll introduce them to you after this pitch.
Outside, ball 1-1.
Well, John, firstly, welcome to Cavalry Live. Great to have you on board.
Thank you. It's great to be here tonight.
Just take us back to the days at the Bushrangers. You know, what was it like playing pro ball in Australia in the 1990s, a very, very different era?
It was very good. It it opened up a lot of avenues for baseball down here in Canberra, and we're pretty happy that that's what we did for the guys down in Canberra.
2-1.
The differences you've observed between cavalry baseball these days and bushranger ball, and I know there are plenty of differences between the current ABL and the old ABL as Ayagi swings through.
Guys are a lot more professional today, a lot more imports. A lot of the guys when we played were Australian. You could only have 4 imports, so they were important to your team. And yeah, I'd say it was a bit more laid back, relaxed. Played hard, but we sort of went out and partied pretty hard too.
Yeah, I've heard some stories 2-2.
Ayagi swings through and he strikes out, so it's 2 down for the Cavalry.
And that'll bring up Michael Francoso, who's having a night. He's had a single to 8, a single to 9, and a walk so far this evening. And John, how did you come to be a bushranger? How did you fall into professional baseball in Australia in the 90s?
Well, I went to Darwin to play for 6 months in the winter, because that's their season up there, and ended up sending a letter to Dave White. He asked me to come down. I pitched a game for Woden, and he signed me after that. So
one game of club ball in Canberra?
Yeah, for Woden. it was a good game.
Francoso takes it outside, ball 1.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable. Hard because I travelled from Sydney every week, so it was like getting off work at lunchtime on a Friday, driving down, coming doing PP, but well worth it. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So I feel that these guys are very lucky.
Outside and high ball too.
That the facilities that are here now, I think we would have done a lot better if we had these facilities.
It's not a bad little ballpark, is it?
Oh, it's a great ballpark. I love playing here. It's it's not a stadium like Bruce, which is good, but just doesn't have the baseball atmosphere that this ground does.
Cole Mender. Strike called, 2-1.
John, a player who came to Canberra to play for the Bushrangers, also with us, David Assenheim, and a man I actually knew before he was a baseballer. David and I actually old schoolmates, to let the cat out of the bag. Dave, great to catch up, and how good was this afternoon?
Mate, it's been a really good afternoon. It's great to have a lot of the guys travel down from Sydney and certainly travel up from Melbourne as well and spend some time with us and be able to have a few beers and tell some stories. It's been great.
For you, as a guy who grew up in Canberra, you went off, you played a bit of college ball in the States, but to come back and play in the ABL, to play in the Australian Baseball League for your own city, in an era where I think a lot of people really thought a Canberra side in that league was a pipe dream for so many years, to be able to do that, what did that mean to you?
As John said, certainly it opened a lot of opportunities for players to have the ability to come and show their wares. At the start of when the Bushrangers started, there weren't a lot of Canberra players available, but certainly that has obviously changed now, and certainly there's a lot of development that goes on to try and have players to come up to this level.
Francoso, boys, has just quickly fouled 2 in a row off. It's 2-2 with 2 out.
We'll be able to talk a little bit longer in a moment.
Francoso, he lines that straight to the shortstop. Chris Richards retires the side.
So with Francoso out, that means we've got 5 in the books and it's 8-0. We'll stay live here at MIT Ballpark with John Gaynor and David Assenheim. And David, you're just talking about how much of an impact the Bushrangers made back in the day. The Cavalry now obviously into their 9th season. I know you're still keenly observing baseball here in Canberra and looking at what's happening locally. This club really starting to make some big differences now. There's people who are not only aspiring to play for this club, but people who've been grown up as fans and now playing for this club.
Certainly the Cavalry have had some success in winning the league and success in Asia as well. It does provide an opportunity, a next stepping stone for those players that are aspiring to work really hard, to be seen by the coaches, to put in good off seasons and come back really strong and let guys like Wardy have the opportunity to see them and be picked up potentially as development players, but also become contracted players and get out there and do the job.
I got a question, Chris Coleman. As this will be the last inning of Shota Imanaga, what do you boys make of this gentleman?
How good is he, John Gaynor?
I'm glad I'm not facing him.
And Dave, you were a noted pitcher yourself. What have you thought?
Look, he throws some very, very good spots. He's got some good change of pace, which puts the batters certainly off balance a lot. And you don't really have to work really hard behind him too much when he's throwing so well and putting the batters in a position where they can't really try and score or get hits, which is great.
I appreciate you guys coming up and having a chat with us on a reunion night. I know there's lots of tall stories to be told and plenty that have probably already been told, and home runs that were big back in the day that are even bigger now, and fastballs perhaps that were 5 or 6 mile an hour now 25 years down the track than they used to be. But Dave, who have you enjoyed catching up with today?
Look, I wouldn't single out anybody. But it's, as I said before, it's really great that guys have travelled from Sydney and travelled from Melbourne for the occasion. They're only up for the weekend. We'll make tonight something special and get out, and we won't spend as much time out as we have done in the past, and certainly we'll be home a lot earlier, which should be good for the families as well tomorrow.
I was just going to ask, what's it like seeing all the people now here tonight wearing the hats, wearing the jerseys, respecting the history of baseball in Canberra?
It's been really great. We weren't expecting a turnout like this. When we got told that there were some commemorative hats and playing jerseys, we were pretty ecstatic about it, I think. And it's been great to see that people have really embraced the past, and we're very happy with it as well.
Well, David Assenheim, thank you for coming up. John, I've got one more question for you in just a second. As We see the first pitch from Imanaga.
Kuo Chun Wei fouls it back.
So 0-1 the count there. John, finally, I was talking to someone today who isn't a huge baseball fan, and they said, so what's so special about the Bushrangers? And I said, for mine, they're an era in Canberra sport that really has been, I think, overlooked by a lot of Canberra sporting fans. I saw today a lot of guys who were glad to see each other, but also reliving some memories that not a lot of people get to talk about. Has it been that kind of a day for the past players?
Oh, it certainly has, and yeah, I'm so appreciative of the Cavalry putting it on because, yeah, it's great to catch up with all your teammates, guys. You go on the road with, you know.
Imanaga gets
Kuo
Chun Wei.
Games, you know, you go around the country and they become your family for that 3 months session. So it's great to catch up with them, and yeah, tonight will get good.
I reckon you've had a pretty good day today. Thank you both for coming up. I don't want to keep you away from the reunion any longer. John Gaynor, David Assenheim, great to meet you, John, and it's good to catch up with you again, mate. It's been far too long, but we'll do it again soon, hey?
No worries, mate. See you soon.
Two of the former Canberra Bushrangers players joining us here in our commentary box tonight, as it is 1 out for the Auckland Tuatara. Luke Hansen coming into bat, and he has 1 strike against him. Was some pretty happy faces, and I think there's a real sense of emotion for these guys who have had a lot of their sporting contribution to the Canberra sports landscape overlooked in many ways.
Unbelievable, Chris Coleman. Just as I said, the people going up to them, the young people going up to them, as Imanaga has an 0-2 count here on Hansen. He swings in the dirt. Perkins picks it up and fires it to first for the K2-3. As Imanaga, Chris Coleman, we'll come back to what you were talking about the Bushrangers. We'll
come back to that later. Yeah, this is important here. This is a little bit of history for us.
This is potentially we're 1 out away from the sun setting on a very, very dominant era in Canberra Cavalry pitching. Shota Imanaga, this will be it, as we alluded to earlier in the commentary. It is part of his deal with the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars. 6 innings is the max, regardless of pitch count. Eric Jenkins steps in, and there's a breaking pitch. Oh.
Believe it or not, Jenkins is the only Auckland Tuatara player Imanaga has not struck out tonight. And now he's got an 0-2 count on him. He might just get that.
And he's got 12 strikeouts. Chris, I'll let you have this.
Imanaga with the 0-2 count. Auckland 2 down, top of the 6th. And Jenkins on three pitches is struck out. And that is 4 strikeouts in a row for Tuatara. It is 4 strikeouts in a row for Shota Imanaga. And it is 13 strikeouts in 6 innings tonight. The second Cavalry pitcher to register 13 strikeouts in a game this weekend. Last year the ABL was dominated by the bat. This year, many games being dominated by the ball. And of the pitchers in the league, I would suspect that really 2 of the 3 very best this year have been wearing the Cavalry uniform. One of them, Shota Imanaga. Another one, Stephen Kent. The third one, Marcus Solbach over in Adelaide.
And then the 4th pitcher, you've got to argue, could be Frank Gailey. But look, it's just fascinating, Chris, with this pitching staff. And I don't mean this in any other way than last year Steve Kent was probably the unluckiest pitcher in the league.
Oh, yeah.
I said that to him on one occasion. I actually asked him if it had some kind of voodoo curse put on him because the roll of the ball just was not going his way. This year he switches from being the Game 4 starter to the Game 1 starter. And all of a sudden, I don't if it's the added responsibility of being that Game 1 starter, he has just been absolutely dominant this year.
He has indeed, and has done a great job and been well complimented by the amazing Shota Imanaga. 13 strikeouts in 6 innings. I'm just sitting here. This is where I now turn into the baseball fanboy. Okay, this is where I turn into the baseball fanboy was. Because the deal with Imanaga was 6 innings per game. There was one game where he only threw 5. So is there any chance we can get a 7th out of him tonight to average it out at 6? I hope that can be that someone can get that message in. We've got about 90 seconds to get the message down there. I don't think it'll happen, but gee, I'd love it. I'd love to just see if he can come out and get another couple, because 13 strikeouts in 6 innings, that's amazing.
outstanding visibility, so you don't miss a thing. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
Five innings on the season, 57 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, 1 walk. I'm sitting here, and we were trying to talk about this earlier. I said you could throw around names like Brian Grenning at his peak. You could throw around Mike Ekstrom from Perth. You could go back to some of the stuff Virgil Vasquez did in this league earlier. But gee, Frank Gailey last season with an ERA of $1 and change.
Taki Toshiro, he is the new man that is replacing Josh Colmenter while these two are arguing over pitching greats.
But you know, was made the best point earlier. I think that is, if you take a 6-game sample, a 6-game stretch from any pitcher ever in the Australian Baseball League, I don't think you can say anyone has done better than what we've seen from that man here tonight. And I think now's the time that I strike fear into every other club in the league. He said during the week that he's had such a good time this year, he wants to come back next season. So we'll see what happens as Cam Warner tries to dispatch one to the stars, but only gets it as far as Clark in left field, and it's the first out in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Cavalry leading 8-0. Dan Amodio, actually, while we've got you here as General Manager, I'll throw the microphone in front of you for just 1 second, because we were talking before with a couple of the boys from the Bushrangers, and what a night that has been. A tremendous success for the Australian Baseball League, and a tremendous success for Canberra to pay homage to the former club here, the Canberra Bushrangers tonight. You've been talking to plenty of the boys tonight as Chris Massey takes strike one outside. It's been a tremendous night all round, hasn't it?
And the pinstripes look good too, don't they?
I could almost forgive the Cavalry if we went for like a white and orange pinstripe pattern for something different next year.
But yeah, it's been a really, really great night, and I've had the chance to meet. We've had 17 of the guys, I think, if you include Wardy and Wellesley, who are here every game, obviously. 17 of the old guys from the squad come down for the reunion, and I've had a chance to meet them, and just top to bottom, a great group of guys, all about Canberra. I've got so many great memories here, and it's been a great run.
Called strike one on Craig Massey. The count is 2-1. Massey, of course, he had a single. He's had 2 hits tonight.
And we mentioned, and we'll give this a very quick plug after this pitch.
Massey fouls that off down the third base line, takes the count to 2-2.
There is a select range, or there was before the game started, a select range of Bushrangers merchandise on sale.
I have never seen these things fly so fast. It was unbelievable. If you look around the park just tonight, there's pinstripes everywhere. Those hats were the hottest thing that I've ever seen come through here.
Except you didn't get one for Was.
He's not going to let go of this.
No, he's not.
He's not going to let go of this.
High. Ball 3. Count is full.
And then some old T-shirts as well. There's some really great stuff with that 90s sort of vibe back there as well. It's looking very good. And Waz, we got some more hats coming as well. So don't you even worry about that. Don't you even worry. We're going to be back, baby.
For fans who, as we see a fly ball, this has got Hansen coming around underneath it. He has to set up camp. Finally takes the catch just outside third base. So 2 up, 2 down here in the 6th for the Cavalry come Bushrangers. But if there is any left unsold after tonight's game, will people be able to buy it via the Canberra Cavalry website?
Still available online. We'll keep everything here in the shop as well. So yes, still plenty of good opportunities to do it.
Excellent stuff, Dan. A great night tonight, and great to see the Bushrangers tribute come around. I know it was an idea that has been bandied about a couple of times in the past, but I know that, you and I have had a lot of phone calls about it, and a lot of meetings.
There's few things better than 1990s baseball, you know? Like,
well, it's what got you in, it's what got me in.
It's it, exactly. It's exactly right. And you talk to some of these guys, and we went out to Canberra Stadium this morning, at GIO
Great
Stadium
fun.
This morning.
We'll have some footage from that in a minute too.
Which was great, and they were kind of showing how the layout was, and they were talking about how far it was in center field and how big some of...
Wilson has just absolutely clobbered that one down. That's back to left and gone to the detailing lot.
We may have to rename it. I think the number of balls that Zach Wilson's putting over that fence now, we may need to rename that as the Zach Wilson car detailing yard as opposed to the David Candelas detailing lot. Zach's taken it over.
Making a very strong case for naming rights.
It's been a hostile takeover, but we're going to give it to Zach Wilson at this point. That's his third home run to left field this weekend alone.
He's been an amazing addition to the squad this year. Came in the big bat over in the Atlantic League last year and in the Canada League last year, and it's just been stayed hot out here, man. It's been really great.
9-0 the score, bottom of the 6th. Dan Amodio, Cavalry GM, good of you to join us tonight on this very special night here on Cavalry Live.
Thanks, guys.
That's Dan Amodio, Cavalry GM, and was, I tell you, he keeps hitting them bigger and bigger and bigger, Wilson.
Well, as a called strike one there on David Candelas, Chris Kelman, as Wilson is an import, I maintain that it is still the Candy detailing lot. He's just taken an apprenticeship up.
Oh, we're not going to allow foreign ownership of the detailing lot. Okay.
But first you go along, then you get along.
Okay.
1-1 is the count. 2 out here. In the bottom of the 6th. Taki Tashiro, he's the pitcher on the mound, replacing Josh Colementor. Candelas rips that foul along the third base line. Count is 1-2. Candelas started. He had the beautiful double down the right field line in the second, and then he led that inning off. And then he actually had a single as well in the second. Straight up the middle. That'll be a base hit for Candy. Now 3 hits on the night. As you pointed out, Chris Coleman, a couple of weeks ago his numbers weren't where he wanted them to be, but now the hits are coming.
Well, it's almost like he's decided to work in an AM radio station, because for David Candelas this weekend it's been hit after hit after hit. They just keep on coming. And for David Candelas, 3 hits tonight, and I reckon that one might just get his average over 200, which a week ago was looking like a remote possibility, but form is temporary, class is permanent, and David Candelas is a class player. He's been hitting them 2 fielders and finally starts finding some gaps. And that's 3 hits tonight. Add that to 1 last night and 4 on Thursday night. That's an 8-hit weekend, and I have a sneaking suspicion that he'd be looking for double digits, and he may well wind up being the Canberra Cavalry Player of the Week, although some pretty stiff opposition from 2 pitchers as well. We may have to actually split that trophy 3 ways at the Canberra Cavalry this week, because I don't want to split it.
Perkins has hit that. And Eric Jenkins tracking back very well to take it.
He made it look so easy. So easy.
Retires the side. Canberra tack on another one. It's 9-0 here at MIT Ballpark at the end of 6.
To the view at the top, the snap of the dawn to the peck of the crop. Across the horizon you jump, skip and hop and never stop.
Now, I think this is so the fans know that he's coming out.
This is the handoff. This is the thank you for your service meeting on the mound. Kyle Perkins, the catcher there. You've got Massey. You've got Francoso in the 5, Warner in the 4, Moanarawa in the 45. Keith Ward saying thank you very much. I can read his lips at that point in the 28 jersey. The interpreter / translator out there, and this shows the respect and esteem with which this man has been held. And there's Shota Imanaga, a tip of the hat to the crowd. Marina working as translator this evening. I've got to confess to a lump in my throat and a tear in my eye here. That is just true respect for an out-and-out champion, and he has loved it here. And I know he wants to come back, and I know that this is a nascent partnership between the Canberra Cavalry and the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars, and we've been able to negotiate, or the club's been able to negotiate additional access, extended periods in Australia for a select group of players, which I'm sure every other club in the league is now going to jump all over, but the Cavalry are able to do it before anybody else, and it's reaping dividends. And I have a feeling that in years to come, the bond between Canberra and Yokohama is just going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And we'll talk more about Shota Imanaga in a second. I'll let you have a quick word about what you've seen from him was in a moment. But as we see on the mound, it's J.R. Bunda warming up. But was your final thoughts on Shota Imanaga as a Cavalry man?
Absolutely dominant. No team managed to solve the riddle. What can you say, though? And just so the fans knew, I mean, we knew up here, Chris Coleman, but just so the fans could say a final thank you, letting him come out and take the mound and say farewell to his teammates and a tip of the cap to the crowd. Shown respect for a man that in a short time his name is going to be said for a long time around the halls here at the Canberra Cavalry.
Absolutely. A quick mental set of numbers here. 35 innings pitched for the season, 57 strikeouts, 14 hits, 1 walk, a 3-0 win-loss record, and in the position for a win here tonight with the Cavalry holding a 9-run cushion and an ERA that, well, what have we got? How many earned runs was it? 2 earned runs off 35 innings, so an ERA that will be down below, I think, below a half. Oh, it's just above a half, 0.51, his ERA across 6 games.
You know that I've given people some odd nicknames here in my time, Chris Kelman, but from now on, he is the measuring stick, because he's what every pitcher in this organisation, every starting pitcher is going to be measured against for a very long time.
You bet he is. Final line from him, 6 innings pitched tonight, 1 hit, no runs, so nothing earned there. Didn't walk anyone tonight. That's been a fairly common refrain. 13 strikeouts altogether. He threw 83 pitches, a mere 63 of those were strikes, only the 2 ground outs and the 1 fly out. I mean, when you've got 18 outs and 13 of them strikeouts, that's hardly surprising that that's the way it all works out. But well done, and thank you. Domo arigato. Arigato gozaimasu to Shota Imanaga as J.R. Bunda takes over. Bunda pitched last night. I think it was a grand total of 4 pitches, maybe 5 pitches last night. Had a very short run in the middle of where things were going horribly wrong for the Cavalry. They were coughing up a 5-run lead to go down by 4, and they were ringing the changes, and Bunda was one of those changes, as he now has a 1-1 count against Zach Clark, the left fielder for the Auckland Tuatara.
J.R. Bunda. With these interesting mechanics, I love it.
Take us through this. On the next pitch, take us through the whole thing, because there are some people who have asked me, why is it not a balk, the way he moves? And you've explained this to me in the past. You give such a good explanation of it. I think it's worth going through and just detailing the whole process.
We'll do it in 2 pitches, Chris Coleman. We'll go through the mechanics first, and then on the second pitch we'll explain why. So Bunda comes up. The count is 1-2 to Clark. He's down low, hand loose, gets his sign. Hands moving, elbows moving, takes the dip. Hands still moving, stops, fires. Clark fouls it off. Now, people think because of the dip that it's a balk. Because he's up, then he's down, then he's up.
So why is it not a balk?
If you see and you watch his pitching arm, he's moving his elbow and his hand. You can move as much as you want, but you must come to a complete... So elbow's moving, there's the bend, elbow moving,
there's the stop, and then he starts again to pitch.
And he must come to a complete stop as he grounds that straight to Craig Massey, who fires over for the out. But that is why it is not a balk, because it doesn't matter what he does. He can keep moving as much as he wants, but he must come to that stop before he pitches. If he moves after he comes to that stop, other than to pitch, that's a balk.
Baseball 101 with Warwick Petherbridge, but as I said, I've had a lot of people ask that question, and I think you've given a perfect explanation of it there. It makes complete sense, and it's another thing about baseball. In the end, it's what works for you, and for Bunda, I've never seen a pitcher with a setup like this.
As Tannerly fires it off, because he can move, as you saw on that pitch just there. Before he's getting set, he's still rocking on his front leg. As long as he's moving, he's fine, and he can do whatever he wants, but he must hit that stop before he fires to the plate.
Not on, 0-1.
To Nick Tanaloo. Fouls it off. 0-2. I tell you what, with the success of Bushrangers night, Chris Coleman.
What's next?
What's next?
Can't do Bushrangers night again next year.
No.
Need something different. And we don't have a lot of other baseball clubs on the national level to draw on. Got 6 clubs in the local league here.
Could do a Harlequin-style jersey.
Pay tribute to all the local clubs.
Do it one at a time. That'll drag it out over the next 6 seasons. You just hold it like you put the names on the ping pong ball and draw it out. 0-2 is the count to Nick Tanaloo. Bunda fires. Tanaloo hits it along the ground. Slow roller. Kyle Perkins gets up, fires to Moa over the out. That is what we call a cannon, Chris Coleman.
That was moving. That was moving. I reckon that Tanaloo was probably only 4 steps from first base when Perkins threw that, and 3 steps from first base when it went into the glove. It was absolutely thrown at speed. It's times like this I wish we had access to MLB StatCast because that kind of technology, because that was a very hard throw. Kyle actually pitched a lot in his younger days, and so he does have a very, very powerful arm.
But perfect example for any young child out there. Set your feet before you throw, and that's what he did. Bunda to Max Brown, who had a 14 pitch at bat last at bat.
Well, if he does that against J.R. Bunda, he's going to wind up with very sore hands.
He's got a very powerful pitch.
Oh, yeah. He's been clocked in the past at north of 100 miles an hour. I don't think he's throwing quite at that at the moment, but certainly there have been pitches of his recorded well into the 90s here. That's the fastball, and that would have been one of them. It really does absolutely move. 0-2 the count here for Max Brown.
But, yeah, just back to that. With Kyle Perkins, gets up, even though the runner's moving, doesn't panic, takes his second, sets his feet before he throws to make the perfect strike to Mauna Roa. Here's the pitch. Along the ground, beats Bunda. Massey picks it up and fields it over to Mauna Roa. That is the 3rd out. It's stretch time here. No runs again for the Tuatara. They currently trail 9-0.
And let's do something special now. Let's do something special. We promised you a look at what happened at GIO Stadium, formerly known as Bruce Stadium, here in Canberra earlier today. So here's a bit of a look. While the stretch takes place, as we go to the break, a look at some of the footage from earlier today. As you can see the players, and there's Cavalry General Manager Dan Amodio in the black shirt. So standing around at with the players around, they've been presented with their jerseys, and Dan just having a chat with them, saying what it meant for the Cavalry to be able to do this. It may well be overdue for this has happened, but great to see it happening, and the players paying plenty of attention. And how great do those pinstripes look? A couple of the players getting jerseys with numbers on. And GIO Stadium, and we've got to say a big thank you to Events ACT and Venues ACT, the people who run GIO Stadium, and you can see the big graphic up on the scoreboard there as we come back to live action in the crowd with the stretch happening. But thank you to GIO Stadium and the crew there for arranging that access today, especially as many people were on holidays. To actually make that happen today was pretty special. It is stretch time here. Neil Diamond sounding out through Narrabundah. The home side leading 9-0 Saturday Night Baseball on Cavalry Live.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare Iced Coffee.
Brimming with brilliant tech, safety and entertainment. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
Hurry up with that thing.
Have you tried the grey cake?
Yeah, I've tried it all.
So who are you backing in this game?
With their 3-point shooting.
Guys, relax. I got this.
Don't want to miss a second of the action this season? With Tabs Basketball Live Vision, you can stream games and access exclusive previews for free, anytime, anywhere.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously.
Don't splash the box.
Why?
Yeah, don't splash the box.
Who are you backing this NBA season? Tab. Download the app today.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know. Because
outstanding visibility, so you don't miss a thing. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
Bit of cornhole happening down on the diamond here. I'm not sure who won the game. I'll say it was won by the man in the Bushrangers shirt, because there were 2 men in Bushrangers shirts taking that one on. You any good at that game, was?
I don't think I've ever played it, Chris Coleman.
I've tried it once. It's not as easy as it looks.
J.R. Bunda, he's back on the bump for the 8th inning here for the Cavalry. Tell you what, I think you put politics aside, Chris Coleman, and you asked me what jersey I would wear. I think you do like the Harlequin style, where you have the colours of all 6 clubs.
You put a patch, so you divide the jersey up into, say, 3 squares, almost like a Brady Bunch type logo.
I was going to say you just do 4 on the chest and 2 on the sleeves.
Oh no, there'd be too much argument about who got the sleeves and who got the chest. I think you could.
No, because then you'd have the 4 colours. If you were the 4, you'd have front and back, and if you were the 5 and 6, you'd have the whole sleeve. So everyone has the same. And you know what? Maybe you make the sleeves a different colour for the colour of the junior club that the local player's from. Just an idea. I don't know the colours here, but you know.
That'd be expensive to do an additional sleeve thing.
But, you know, you just make sure that everyone's equal.
And you give it a go.
I mean,
I don't think it's insurmountable. I think it's an interesting idea, and we'd love your suggestions too, by the way. You can tweet at me, CJCAU, or to Warwick at It Was Time, with a WOZ, and let us know what you think. Or get in touch with the Canberra Cavalry. Or maybe we just do it again with the Bushrangers and wear the black jersey next year, because that looked pretty snazzy as well, the black jersey with the teal trim. 1-0 is the count here on Chris Richards.
Fouls it back. 1-1. Oh.
Fouls it.
1 and out. Sorry. I thought it had gone behind.
It was Moanaroa had... There is a pole, we should explain that there is a pole directly between where we stand and where Boss Moanaroa, well, where was it standing and where Boss Moanaroa was to catch that. So
there's a pole, there's a window, there's...
Yeah, you got a few obstructions in the field of view, but it's...
My apologies.
Another out. So what are we into? 7 1/3 innings of one-hit baseball tonight. This has been a top defensive performance from the Canberra Cavalry. Now it's Bunda pitching to Tuatara Bishop.
Ball 1. Interesting double play there. I've never seen a double play where you have an error on the end of it. By Nick Tanaloo.
Double play into an error is indeed rare.
We had a triple play here last weekend, but Bishop, he smacks that into right field, and that is off the top of the wall.
And so back into play.
So that the ball is live. Makes the throw in. Francoso just blocks the ball.
Hey, can we give credit there to Oyagi in right field, because he's had to adapt to that ball which he thought was gone, and then suddenly it's taken the top of the fence and bounced back into the field of play. Most of the time if a ball hits that fence, it just drops, or if it hits the top of the fence, it keeps going over. That's hit the top of the fence, the pad. It must have not hit the padding on the top of the fence, because it's bounced back quite high and back into the field of play. And Oyagi did well to read that, turn around and pick it up. He's had some challenges in the outfield across the course of this season, but that one he coped with particularly well.
Did very well to stay with it. 1 out here. The Tuatara with their second hit of the night. Just like last night, it's the 8th inning. 1 batter at a time, Chris Coleman.
Please don't.
Shu Ji Win, or Ichi, he steps in. Wonder fires low, ball 1. Wonder ready. Lined up the middle. Francoso with the backhand fires over to Moanaroa. What a play by Michael Francoso. It's hard enough at any time, Chris Coleman, to be playing a ball at full stretch, to be playing a ball at full stretch when you've been blinded by the pitcher, so you're picking it up late.
And you're going at full tilt because he knew that the ball had been hit hard. You could tell that from the sound off the bat. And then to turn.
To turn, make a throw. Michael Francoso, not only, we've talked about his hitting tonight, but as well, his fielding as well. He goes where he needs. He's been an outfielder. He's played second. He's played short. Quote Chun Wei. He takes the pitch outside. Ball one.
So 2 and out. So 2 out, I should say.
One and one. Is the count on Quo Chun Wei. J.R. Bunda. There's 2 outs here in the 8th. High and inside. Get off my plate. Two and one the count. Canberra with a 9-0 lead here in the top of the 8th. And that's high. Ball 3. Bo Bishop, the runner at third. Three and one the count. With 2 out. There's a beautiful pitch by Bishop. Right along the outside of the plate. Fills the count up. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tuatara. 2 hits to 9. Bo Bishop, he's the man at third. And that's low. Ball 4. And that is actually the first walk tonight issued by the Cavalry pitching staff. Hansen steps in. He's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
Do the Cavalry have any thoughts of last night suddenly creep in?
No.
They gave up 6 in the 8th inning last night.
They did it. They did, Chris Coleman, but Hansen's in. Bunda right on the high outside corner for the called strike 1.
Now, apologies that we can't take as much from our centre field camera as we'd like. Someone's actually decided to go climbing on the platform, and that's why it's wobbling all over the place.
Oh, there's 2 people up there, and they're about to get a visit, I think.
They are. It's not free spectator area there. As the ball goes to ground, picked up by Francoso across the diamond, and the Cavalry into the closest thing to a jam they've been in all night, but they get out of it courtesy of a couple of sharp plays from shortstop Francoso across to boss Moen Aroa. And we will take a very quick break here from MIT Ballpark while we try and get our sole possession of our scaffolding back, with the Cavalry leading 9-0 heading into the bottom of the 8th.
Outstanding visibility, so you don't miss a thing. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know, because we're number 1 too. Number 1 in the ACT, for full-time employment, for starting salary, for student support, and learning resources. Yep, all the things that matter. So even though we're number 1, you're still number 1 to us. Might sound corny, but hey, it's 100% true.
We have a pitching change. That is not Taka Tashiro.
Nope. Very conveniently keeping his head down
That, my friend, is Mitchell Hewson.
Thank you, because from where I was standing, he had his head down and his glove over the number, and I couldn't pick either.
I just saw the 33 on the TV next to us.
I'm glad you could pick it from there, because I was having all sorts of issues with that. So that means Taki Toshiro departs, and we'll see what Hewson can bring to the table. While we're waiting, I'll see if I can get you some numbers on Toshiro. We have the time. We do. 2 innings pitched for Toshiro. 4 hits, 1 run, which was earned. He didn't walk anybody or strike out anybody. All up 29 pitches. 18 of them were strikes. And it was no ground outs and 3 fly outs.
Cam Warner, he comes up to lead off the bottom of the 8th inning for this Cavalry side. 2 for 4 tonight. He's got 2 singles. He's the first man in to face Hewson. Called strike 1. And he misses, but there was that shot you were alluding to earlier, Chris Coleman. They're all up on the dugout. You can see David Candless there. You can see Zach Wilson. Coach is talking to them, and that's high, ball 2.
You've got to say, you're looking at a side here that's got a 9-run break. They're getting into the closing stages of this game, but they're still using this as an opportunity to analyse as Warner sends one into orbit, coming around underneath it. That'll be, well,
Jenkins.
Jenkins finally gets it. It was Richards backing up. Clark was coming in. But in the end, centre fielder reigns supreme and takes care of it.
There he goes.
1 down in the 8th.
People at home who might not understand that, it's easier for the man coming in to take the ball than the man going backwards. So in a hierarchy of who gets the first call, centre fielder can call anybody off, and he does successfully there. Craig Massey, he steps in. He's 2 for 4. Ball 1 to him. That's a nice pitch by Hewson. Called strike 1.
Just get you to keep talking. I'm about to lean around out the window. See if we can pick up anything by way of movement in the Cavalry bullpen.
I don't know if you'll see anything, my friend, but Hewson delivers. Massey fouls it off. It's 1 and 2, especially with a 9-run lead. You want to keep putting some innings into the arms that might not be getting as much work.
Somebody up there, there's a hand. I can't even tell whether it's a right hand or a left hand.
Hewson delivers, and that's high. Evens the count at 2 and 2.
Just to explain the quandary here is that from where we sit, the visiting team bullpen is largely obscured by a batting net and half of a grandstand. The home team bullpen, as we see a fly ball round into foul territory, third base side, overrunning it by maybe a step there was Hanson, but he's taken care of the catch and dismissing another Cavalry man in Massey with the pop fly to 3. But yeah, to the home team bullpen, there is a large hospitality tent, so all we can often see is that there's someone warming up, because a hand as he throws will pop up over the top. You can't even tell from this distance whether it's a right hand or a left hand.
Sometimes you see the back foot as they're warming up, that's all. 2 out here. Hewson just misses low. Zach Wilson of Wilson and Candless Detailing Lot. How about we call it a tie?
It's a joint venture.
Yes. We say that because he launched a monster of a home run again over the fence into left field, and sometimes just beyond the left field fence is where cars park.
More often than not, I would never put my own vehicle there, but some people like that because it's only a short walk after the game, but there are some cars that are only about 10 feet outside that fence.
Wilson lines it straight to the third baseman, Hanson. He fires over to Bo Bishop. That retires the side. No runs there for the Cavalry, but at the end of 8, It's 9-0 Canberra here at MIT Ballpark.
We stay with live action as the Tuatara. Well, I suspect that Canberra, after last night, would be really saying we let one slip last night in the biggest way possible. I did hear it said after that game that you wouldn't have let last night's Cavalry side take your dog for a walk because they couldn't hold on to the lead. Tonight, no such dramas. Only 2 hits and 1 walk given up so far by this Cavalry side through 8 innings of baseball. And as you can see on that board there, 16 hits to the Cavalry. They've converted those to 9 runs. 1 error contributing to the Cavalry's success as well. And it is going to be a pitching change for the Cavalry. And it is
Kyle Kinman.
Kyle Kinman came in and closed out the other night for Canberra in the 21-4 win. And I think he gave up a couple of runs in the 8th. And then got his groove on. Strikeout, 1 to 3 out, strikeout. And then got a fielder's choice play, which saw the game wrapped up with a very big win to Canberra. And Kinman in that position again. Recovering from Tommy John surgery, so not a player who's capable of pitching 2 nights in a row. And had a chat with him at Thanksgiving dinner earlier this season, and he said it's really funny recovering from Tommy John, not funny, haha, funny, strange, that some days you'll go out and you'll feel like you can throw 100 pitches and you'll throw 5, and some days you'll feel like you can only throw 5 and you'll wind up being able to throw 50. So he is well on the recovery path, but great to see him here as Eric Jenkins, Zach Clark and Nick Tanalou are the batters due up. First pitch to Jenkins has gone skyward. Francoso camps underneath it and takes the easiest of catches, and for Eric Jenkins, not a great night. He's gone 0 for 4.
For our viewers that are new to the game or unsure, Tommy John surgery is actually the name of the doctor who first performed it. It's the ulnar collateral ligament in your elbow. It's basically the main ligament that you use when you throw. It's the baseballers' equivalent of an ACL.
It is. Some players come back far better after it. Some come back never the same as Zach Clark. I think the instructions from the Auckland Tuatara coaching staff at this point are just go out and try and do something, try and get some damage on the Cavalry pitches. Give you the line for J.R. Bunda after this pitch was.
Not a worry, Kinman. 0-1 to Clark. 1-1.
Bunda 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs. 1 walk, no strikeouts. 25 pitches, 17 of those were strikes, and 5 ground outs, no flyouts. There's been 1 flyout for the Cavalry pitchers have conceded all night long.
And that was Kuo Chun Wei off Shota Imanaga. Flew out to David Candless as he blows one by. Zach Clark.
So that's strikeout number 14 for the Cavalry in collective terms this evening.
1 to Kinman, 13 to Imanaga. But I must say, great job tonight from the Cavalry bullpen. 2 out here in the top of the 9th. A 9-0 lead. Nick Tanalou steps in. Nick Tanalou, as he takes a low ball 1. He was the man who got the hit off Imanaga. He got the double in the first. To left field.
At that stage of proceedings, the visitors may have been thinking, yep, we're going to do all right against this bloke tonight.
Fouls one back. 1-1.
From there, well, it didn't really work out. On several occasions, Imanaga struck out batters back-to-back, or back-to-back-to-back, or more.
1-1 is the count. Tanalou fouls it off his foot. He hops with a grimace. 1-2. 2 out.
And for the Cavalry, well,
Chris Coleman. He's down on his haunches.
That's really hurt. That really has hurt. He's going to come back in and finish his at-bat because it's virtually game over. 1 and 2 to count 2 outs.
But you see, sorry, Chris, you see a lot of batsmen who wear those shin guards at the bottom to protect their ankle and the top of their foot.
There's a good reason for that.
Tanaloo Brainmare not wearing one. Sorry, you were saying?
He may well change his mind for tomorrow's game. For the Cavalry, started off a little bit rough with Francoso a hit and then 3 in a row sat down, but in the second, the assembly line just kicked into gear. Candelas a double, Perkins and Moanaroa walks, Perkins a single, Ayagi a sack bunt, high and inside, 2 and 2 now. Oof. Francoso a single, Warner a single, Massey a double, Wilson a double, Candelas a single. Warner was run out going for home in there somewhere. Perkins struck out to end it. The Cavalry sent 11 to the plate and scored 7 runs in the second and really haven't looked back since that point. And now with 2 balls, 2 strikes and 2 outs, make that a full count and 2 strikes. We may well be at, full
3 balls, 2 strikes, full count.
Yeah, exactly. Full
Don't
count.
worry, it's been a long night, my friend.
Full count and 2 outs is what my mouth is not letting my brain say as we wait.
Outside, ball 4, and there is still life for the Tuatara.
Well, if they get out of this one, it'll become the subject of a 30 for 30 documentary. It'll be 2 great escapes in a row.
The Steve McQueen saga.
Tanaloo gets on base for the 2nd time tonight and becomes just the 4th man in the dark blue and teal of the Auckland Tuatara to make it to first base. Only one man's made it past that. That was Bo Bishop in the 8th. He got all the way around to 3rd. Max Brown, 2 strikeouts and an infield out, takes the first pitch high from Kyle Kinman. Warwick Petherbridge taken away.
Don't worry, Nick Tanaloo did have a double in the first, Chris Coleman.
Oh, he did too. Apologies.
1-0. Max Brown. He lines that straight at Cam Warner. Warner fires it over to second for Massey to step on the bag. That will end the game this evening, as Canberra don't need to bat again with a 9-0 win, Chris Coleman.
Indeed they don't. They blanked their opposition tonight, and that is a much-needed result for Canberra. It keeps them well and truly in the playoff hunt. It also gives them some momentum that they had lost a little bit of last night. 9 runs to nothing, 16 hits to 2. Canberra error-free baseball tonight, Auckland giving up 1. Very quick look at who made the major contributions. Well, for Auckland with the bat, Nick Tanaloo had 1 hit and Bo Bishop had 1 hit. There was a walk to Tanaloo and a walk to Kuo Chilton-Wei. For the Canberra Cavalry, plenty of multi-hit players tonight. David Candelas and Boss Moanaroa, though, 2 guys who were struggling to get the ball where they wanted it a couple of weeks ago. Now both with averages north of the Mendoza line, north of 200, with 3 hits apiece, and plenty of other cavalry men with 2 hits apiece in there. In fact, there were 5 players with 2 hits for the Cavalry. But it was all about the pitching tonight, and it was all particularly about the pitching of Canberra Cavalry starter Shota Imanaga. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 13 strikeouts. It's not an ABL record, but it's an amazing ABL performance. And just to recap for him, across the course of the season here, as he departs to head home to Yokohama for a short break before spring training begins for NPB. Shota Imanaga tonight goes to 35 innings pitched for the season. He gets the win, so that's 4 wins from 6 starts. He has given up just 14 hits and struck out 57 cavalry men. And Shota Imanaga being awarded the Man of the Match trophy for this evening. And we thank you very much for your contribution. Warwick Petherbridge, great to have you along for Saturday Night Baseball in the nation's capital. Thank you for your company.
Thank you as always, Chris.
For our live viewers on Cavalry Live, it will be back again tomorrow evening. Waz won't be here, but we're going to get the old firm back together. It's almost like Jake and Elwood. It'll be Chris Coleman here, joined by Anthony Overs tomorrow night. It'll be a flashback of a different kind. But tonight, the flashback from the Canberra Cavalry as the Bushrangers. Tomorrow night, it'll be the flashback night in the commentary box to on behalf of everyone involved at the Canberra Cavalry, the Auckland Tuatara, our broadcast team, Warwick Petherbridge alongside me in the commentary box. This is Chris Coleman signing off from MIT Ballpark, where the Canberra Cavalry have won a round 7 game 3 affair, 9-0 over the Auckland Tuatara.